Welcome back to ARC Tutorials. This is CSS full tutorial series for absolute beginners. Today's episode is extremely important, especially from a design perspective, because today we are learning about positioning of elements. Where you want to position an element defines the design. There are different ways of how and where we can use the position and align the elements. We'll learn all about the CSS properties of position. I will show you hands-on and show you all the different variations that can be possible. Let's get started. This is part 17 of the series. Before I jump into the series, make sure that you check out other playlists on my channel on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, MongoDB, Angular, so that you can learn and become a full stack developer on my channel. Talking about the CSS series, so far we have covered 16 episodes where I've covered all the basic CSS properties that you need to know in order to start UI designing. Today we are learning about important property called position. The CSS, the position property, defines as the type of positioning method used on an element. There are different types of positioning property values like static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. These are the 5 values that the position property can accept. Now, when we want to position an element, we need to provide a values for top, bottom, left, and right. They will differ in terms of how they will look based on the type of position we have used. Okay. So it's best that we get started with hands-on, and I'll show you all the possible things in action. I'll start with the position static and then we'll go into others. So best thing I can do for you to easily understand is create a new HTML page, and I'll call it position.html. Copy the basic HTML structure. Okay, so it's an empty HTML document so that you can understand easily. And I'll use internal styling also, so that way it's clear to you. Alright, so I'm going to create a simple h1 and I'll say learning position property. Okay, let's go to our browser, change this to position.html, and you will see that there is just a h1 and nothing else. Alright, so first we'll start with the simple div, right? And I'll show you how they will differ. So this is just a div. I'm going to call it box1, and I'll have one more div. I'll call it box2. There are two different boxes. I'm going to call it box1, call it box2 in CSS, and in this header going to add a simple style. Just adding some background color so we can see the differentiation. So far so good. Let's go back to our browser and refresh, and this is how both the boxes look, one after another, because they are block elements and they'll come one after another. So you can see yellow and blue color. Now what I'm going to do is add position static. Now you see they both are still the same. There is no difference at all, and that is because by default all elements are positioned static. Okay, so remember that HTML elements are positioned static by default. Okay, static positioned elements are not affected by top, bottom, or anything. So if you make an element position static, and if you give, let's say, top 200 pixel, here I'll give it as top 30 pixel. Now go back and refresh, no change at all, because these are position static. Okay, so remember the thumb rule. By default all elements are position static. Okay, that's number one. Number two, static elements are not affected by passing top, left, right, and bottom. Okay, This is the ground rule for static. Okay, I hope it's clear. I hope now you will be clear about what is position static. By default they are static, we don't have to do anything on it. Now I'll copy two more boxes and I'll make it into a container, so that we can have all of the things in one go. Container, alrighty. So this is for position, example of position static elements. Now same way I'll copy the same thing again. Okay, before I do that I'll show you the output. It is still the same. Copy that again. Now this is where we will write example with position. Now the next one that we will see is, let's say relative, right? So position relative. So now I have again two boxes. I'm going to call them 3 and 4. Okay, so now go back, and this is for position relative, this is for position static. Box 1 and box 2 are position static. Now we are learning about position relative. Okay, so remember, our element with position relative is position relative to its normal position. Okay, what I mean by that is, when we set the top, right, left and bottom properties, it will cause the element to move to other location from the normal position. Okay, it will other content will not be adjusted to fit into any gap left by the element. Okay, that's a basic explanation, but it would be more clear when I'll show you the example. Now let's go ahead, and for div 3 and div 4, box 3, I'm saying position relative, and now I'm saying from left my element should be 200 pixel. Okay, now see the difference. This is starting here. I refresh. Now the new position is from here 200 pixel. Similarly, if I go ahead and write dot box 4, say from top 30 pixel, right? So instead I can also and I have to mention position relative to see the change. Now you see here, it is not taking from here top 30 for this element is from here, because it was originally normal position was here. From here it is moving 30 pixel. Let me show that again. I'll remove this line. The original position is here. Now when I say from top 30 pixel, it will move from here to here from this starting position, because that is its normal position. Now see, right? So that is the main difference when we use position relative. Relative means from its normal position, where do you want to move it? Either you can move it left, you can move it right, you can move it bottom, you can move it right. Right? So those are the 4 properties that we can specify to position the element. That is position relative. Now let me do the same for position fixed. I'll copy the box again, paste, let's call it fixed, and here I'm going to call it 5 and 6. So I'm trying to give you a complete picture in one application. That's why I'm putting all together. Okay, so see, position static means it will not change at all, because by default they're all same. Let me copy this here, or I can just, okay, so this is static. So this is static, that means it by default they are static. Relative means from its normal position, which is starting here. Now we are learning position fixed. So that is box 5 and box 6. Position fixed. Okay, so now what position fixed do is, it is relative to the viewport. Now what is the viewport? that is nothing but the starting point of the browser. Okay, that is, which means it always stays in the same place. Okay, even though the page is scrolled, it will still be at the same place. That is what is the meaning of position fixed. And from the viewport means from here, from the browser start. Okay, so let me show you that. So now I want this box 5 to be here. So I have to say top 0 and right 0. So let's do that. So I'm going to say should be top 0. Let's see where it goes. It went to the top. You see here, this is box 5 because I said top 0 and position fixed, meaning at the start of the browser window. And then I'll say right 0. So now you see here it has moved to the corner. I hope you can see that at the corner. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some dummy text to the page to show you how this will be fixed. This is dummy text and I'm going to copy that multiple times. I want to show you the scroll effect, that's why I'm adding this. I could directly add the height also, but this is more because let's assume that there is content. Now you see I'm scrolling the page, but this is fixed. See that? This is fixed. The box 5 is fixed. Or I can do one thing, if you are not able to see, I'm going to move it from right. I'm going to move 100 pixel. So I hope now you can see it. It's clear here. So even though I scroll the page, this element is fixed. Right? You would see this behavior generally here somewhere which says click on this to chat with our support agent, to get help, etc. Right? Or you can have certain thing which says emergency contact, click here. So those are the fixed elements in the page. Right? Usually you would see something like share, click to share, etc. Right? Click to share. Now, so you can share this page to Facebook, etc. So I'm going to say top 50%. Oh, sorry, not this one. Click to share, and then in the here I'm going to say 50% and write 0. That means put it in the center here. Right? Now you can always click to share to Facebook, Twitter, etc. Right? So that's a classic example of position fixed. Always remember, whenever you give fixed position, it will be taking from the viewport, entire viewport. It is fixed, it will not move even though you scroll the page. That is position fixed. For the next one, I'm going to use this box 6. And for this, the next one that I want to cover is the absolute, right? We have that also. Absolute. Alright, so this is we'll do this example for box 6 with position absolute. Now if you scroll, you can see at the end, I don't know if you can see it, so I'm going to delete the dummy text. So I'm trying to show you the real-time use cases, that's why I'm doing all this. Have some patience, or if you like, you please hit that like button. Alright, so now we are talking about position absolute. Okay, so what does position absolute do? An element with position absolute is positioned relative to the nearest positioned ancestor. Okay, I'll repeat that again. A element with position absolute is positioned relative to the nearest positioned ancestor. That means this one, this div. See, when you say fixed, it will take from the viewport. When you say absolute, it will take the nearest parent. Okay, the parent of this box 6, if you see, the parent of this box 6 is this container, right? Is this container. That's why it will take the position from that container. So I'm going to give this a color so that you can see the difference. I have given a gray color, so you can see this is the gray color. Now this is box 6. The positioning will happen from start of this parent here. Okay, now let me show you that. So I'm going to say box 6 position absolute from top 100 pixel. That means from this element 100 pixel down. Okay, so that you can see it should be somewhere. We don't see that, so let me, okay, so here you see the position box 6 because it is taking from the box 6 but it's going to the viewport. So let me bring it back and say here, let me put it to say left 200 pixel. Okay, so it, if you see this now, this entire thing is also color is gone background because we have used position absolute, and it is now taking left 200. Okay, so those are the things that you need to keep in mind, especially when you are using absolute, because it will take from the nearest um, parental element. Okay, but when they are removed from the normal flow, when you use them in the normal flow, right, they will have effects on the design. Let me show you how, what I mean. Now if you take out this box 6, now you see that this entire thing is there, inside that the box is there. But if I use position absolute, because I'm taking it from a normal flow, it will break the flow. Okay, it's no more having that background color, it has changed, right? So it will have some repercussions, so use that carefully, and how you want how you want it to be positioned correctly. Okay, because it may have repercussions. Okay, to solve that you can add position relative here. Okay, so that should at least fix some of the things. The parent I have fixed, so you can see that now it is going here, right? Box 6 is here in, let me make it 100. You see now it is 100 is here. If I don't make this parent as the relative, it will go to the top. Okay, it's a little tricky, it will only come with practice, and you have to implement that yourself to see those changes. But remember, you need to make the parent as position relative, then only you can use it as absolute. Okay, that brings us to the last one, which is uh, the sticky, right? That's the last one I think on the list. So position sticky. Now this I'll call it box 7. So I'll call it box 7. These will take some time in understanding. It's not something that um, people don't get it in one go. It's understandable. Don't worry about it even if you're not getting but this, like I said, it only comes with practice. Okay, it cannot come with theory. Alright, so position sticky. Now what position sticky means is that, let's say your document body, I'm making a minimum height of 500 pixel, and or let me put to the let me add a div. This is dummy text. I'm just increasing the scroll so that I will show you the sticky behavior. Sticky behavior means you scroll to a certain position and then it will stop. Okay, and it should be at the bottom because we want it to scroll. I'm trying my best to show you the best use cases, so stay with me. Some of these concepts may sound little tricky, but that's not it is. It's pretty straightforward. Only thing is you need to see that in action multiple times. Okay, so now you see the box 7, right? Now it is sticky, so that means I'm trying to scroll the page, but you see it is sticky. The difference between fixed and sticky is that sticky means it will be where it is if it's not in the scroll. See, it is here because it's not in the scroll. Now I'm scrolling, it is going up, you see. It is going down, it is going up. But after a certain point, it will get sticky. That is why it's called position sticky. Okay, this is best used in terms of navigation menu bar or something where you scroll and you still want the menu to be available, right? So you scroll to a certain place and then it will become fixed. So see here, again I'm scrolling the page, it is scrolling up and down, but when I scroll past 100 pixel, it will stay where it is. Okay, so that is position sticky for you. Once again, I'll quickly recap for you. By default, all HTML elements are positioned as position static. Next, position relative. That means whenever you give some value, it will flow according to that. Okay, from the viewport. Fixed means it will be fixed in the page at a given position. It will not scroll at all. Position absolute means from the parental element, right? The calculation is done based on the parent, which is a relative basically. So that positioning top and left will happen based on the position of the parent element. Sticky means it will be there in the page and it will get fixed after a certain scroll point. In this case it is top 200 pixel. Okay, I have tried my best to cover all the positions in this with like UI relative and to show you visually. I hope it's clear, but still if you have any doubt, please talk to me in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. We'll continue our learning of CSS and soon I will start a live projects of live coding this templates for you. But for now, we have to continue our learning, and in the next episode, we will learn about the Z index in CSS. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.